Hi, hello, buenos dias, how are you? This is Bloodhouse, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkle.
And for the first time in the new year, I am your co-host, Giselle Adeline. I mean, it's February. It's not like the new year, but it is. This is the first episode of Bloodhouse Mark II.
As they say in Rosemary's Baby, the year is one. But it's actually year two.
This is Bloodhouse 2, Hello, Mary Lou.
Yeah, exactly. How are you? What's going on?
I'm doing really well. I've been working my little took us off on projects and stuff, but I've also been hanging out with friends and going to some friends' art exhibits and opening. My friend Linda just had her kind of company and brand, Creepy Gals, just had a pop-up over at Lethal Amounts in Little Tokyo that I went to the other day, and it was so stupid gorgeous. It was all for Valentine's Day, and it was just incredible. All her Poopy Wise the Clown merch, and like she had built like toys. It's the goddamn greatest. Linda is one of the most like tip-to-tail artists I know, and she's so fun and she's so poppy. And her work is incredible. Yeah, give Creepy Gals a follow and a shout. It was one of the best things I've done in the past forever. How have you been, Josh? What are you up to right now?
I'm good. First of all, thank you for Poker Face. We are loving it.
Yes, I'm so obsessed with Poker
episode
Face.
Is incredible. I hope we get at least 5 more seasons of this. Between this and Knives Out, I'm sort of starting to understand that I love this. I love murder mysteries, and I didn't know that about myself. I'm loving them. I want like 5 more Benoit Blanc movies. I want 5 more seasons of Poker Face. And now I'm like looking for books, looking for movies. Of course, I've seen The Last of Sheila and I've seen Clue, and I knew that I love those movies. But
I've seen like Death Trap.
Death Trap I saw as a child a lot, but I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm due for a rewatch. Yeah, so I'm loving this.
If you ever need Murder Mystery Rex, it's like one of my favorite things in the world. It's part of the reason why I love giallo movies so much. Is because giallo movies are basically like super hype. It's somewhere between Agatha Christie and Sean S. Cunningham. Like,
Drusilla, you just gave me the perfect opening to talk about something that I watched this week that I had never seen, which is the giallo What Have You Done to Solange?
Oh my god, that's one of the best giallo films ever.
It was so good. I really liked it.
So good.
Because it actually, unlike most giallo movies, has a real mystery to it.
Yes.
That you can follow.
You can follow the plot. Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, it's not one of the big 3, by which I mean Argento, Bava, Fulci.
I would put Sergio Martino up in that group, but...
Yeah. Is he the director of this?
No. I believe that's
Who's the director?
Massimo Dell'Amato, I want to say.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, I can't believe I got that off the top of my head. Okay, cool. I haven't seen that movie in years. Cool. It's one of the most like quietly upsetting giallo movies because it's not as stylized as...
it doesn't have a lot of the visual flair of those other directors we mentioned.
But I would say it's closer to something like Picnic Hanging Rock because it's a lot of like girls on bicycles, like soft diffuse filters, and it's a lot of schoolgirls, but something's going wrong. And when you get to the final, like, realization of everything, you're like, oh my god!
Yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen it, all of the girls are being murdered by getting stabbed in the vagina. So if you're not down for that, avoid it. But it was cool. It's a cool movie, and I really liked it.
There is a pseudo-sequel to it, if you enjoyed it, that Massimo Dell'Amato made a few years later, once the giallo boom had kind of died down, and the kind of Pulichezzi, like, cop thriller movies had taken over, so it was less like amateur detective horror stuff, and more, like, brutal action cop movies, but in a similar formula called What Have They Done to Our Daughters? And that's like kind of his thematic like link and continuation of Solange. I don't think it's as good because I don't like Pulichezzi films as much as I love giallo films.
Yeah.
If Pulichezzi films are like masculine, like fascist, like cop movies, then Giallo movies are like femme, like leaning.
Yeah.
So I obviously will lean towards those more, and getting back to the poker face of it all, when Columbo first came out in the late 60s, early 70s.
Was that how old Columbo is? I had no idea.
The first episode of Columbo was directed by Steven Spielberg.
Wow. Interesting.
Columbo is fucking incredible. If you haven't watched all of it, go watch all of Columbo.
I've never watched any of it.
You need to watch the Ruth Gordon episode specifically.
Okay.
But when Columbo first came out, Columbo episodes are an hour and a half long because they were like movie of the week on NBC at first, and then they ordered more of them, and it kind of became a series. But it was like once a month we get a Columbo episode, but they're feature length. And so in foreign territories like France and Italy, they were released theatrically as movies.
Oh, wow.
And the first couple Columbo episodes or Columbo movies were released in Italy and marketed as a part of the Pulichezzi boom. And so all the posters for the Columbo episodes are like these crazy paintings of like Peter Falk looking crazy serious as a helicopter explodes behind him and shit like that. They are nuts. I
love that.
A big fan. But yes.
That reminds me, I love the have you ever seen the hand painted movie posters from Ghana?
Mm-hmm.
I love
that the Deadly
so
Prey
much.
gallery kind of showcases.
So cool. Yeah.
I came up in Chicago, especially in college, and my favorite video store there was kind of the first one, like 10 years ago, to start bringing those posters in from Ghana, and displaying them in that movie rental store and stuff like that. And they started selling prints, and it was a big deal. And they had an art show eventually of a lot of them. And now, like, they make them of everything, like, and they're incredible.
Listener, if you don't know what we're talking about, Google Ghana movie posters. They're really amazing.
Or find the Instagram of the Deadly Prey Gallery, Prey. Yeah. They're incredible.
The other thing I've been watching that's very different from What Have You Done to Solange is a British comedian's show on Netflix called Cunk on Earth. Have you heard about this?
I believe you told me about Cunk on Earth, and
did I?
I watched it later that day.
It's so funny. And now
Philomena Cunk.
Philomena Cunk. She has all these other series that you can watch on YouTube too, like Cunk on Britain, Cunk on Shakespeare. She did a vaccine special at the start of the coronavirus. So basically, this comedian plays the character Philomena Cunk, who's a journalist and presenter, and this is British, who interviews experts, but she's like really stupid and awful. And it's just so funny. And she has a Netflix series called Cunk on Earth, where she discusses the history of humanity and the globe, basically. And it's so funny. It's funny. That's it. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's really
I love when
goofy.
She sits down with an expert and she's like, right, who are you? Like she doesn't know who they are. And then every episode they figure out a way to put in the video Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic. It's so goofy and just delightful. And she's so funny to me.
It's really, really, really fun. I had a few friends over like a week or so ago, and we were working on just some fun like sculpture projects, like a craft day with the girlies. And by the end of the day, I made cocktails, and we kind of like decompressed afterwards, and like had some edibles and stuff. And we put on Cunk on Earth because we're like, Josh recommended this. This could be fun. And we were just losing our minds at this shit.
It's so funny. And it's kind of like Borat, except the people she's interviewing are never the joke. She's always the joke. Like, she's the dumb one.
I love...
Delightful.
She's always in like this trench coat walking around with this big like far off stare as if she's taking in the majesty as she's just walking down a street, and she's like talking about how like ancient Mesopotamia was right here and just like this, but it's not. This is England. But you could think in your mind's eye that this was it.
Yeah.
If we had the budget.
Yeah, and then at the end of I don't know if you finished it, and this is, I guess, technically a spoiler, but the very end of the series, it cuts and you see that she's just been in front of a green screen the whole time. And she's like, right, well, you can make that look real then. Oh, interesting. All right, well, have a good one. And she just, like, leaves. I don't know if it's real. I think she probably actually did travel, and they're just, like...
Yeah, I think that's just
the... But that implies that, like, the whole thing was faked in front of a green screen. It's so good. Love it.
Very, very, very fun. Yeah, those are such a delight.
How about you? Anything good?
I have been continuing my avoidance of television and my deep dive into sweet, lovely, lovely art house stuff. But I will say, really quickly before I get into that we got such a lovely treat for Valentine's Day last week. Warner Media and HBO Max, the corporate overlords that decide the fate of humanity, decided to give us a little treat, a little present to get through the depressing times by giving a Valentine's Day hour-long special to the Harley Quinn animated show, which I so deeply love.
Oh, yay.
And it is so insanely good and so insanely funny. But one of the most shocking aspects of it was that there's, like, at the beginning of it in the background, there's ads for, like, Brett Goldstein, the writer and co-star of Ted Lasso and also the host of my favorite podcast, Films to Be Buried With. And I was like, are those Brett Goldstein billboards in the back of this Harley Quinn thing? Weird. Why? And then at the very end of it, they have it like culminates in Brett Goldstein playing himself doing a shirtless live reading of Lord Byron on Valentine's Day that gets
That's so funny.
Violently interrupted by a very sexually explicit disaster, we'll say. It is outrageously funny. It is
so hot to me.
He's so hot. Oh my god. I love him so much. He's also like a gentle, sweet boy.
Yeah.
I've been watching his new show on Apple TV, Shrinking, with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel, which is very, very good and very, very sweet. And I think you would like it, but I also know that you don't like sincerity in Ted Lasso, so maybe you wouldn't.
I don't like... It's true that I think comedy should be mean or sad, and I don't think comedy should be nice. I just don't think it's funny.
I think you'll enjoy Shrinking then, because it's more sad than it is funny.
Yeah, I love sad comedy.
It's much more about, like, grief.
Yeah.
And PTSD than anything. So, yeah, I was over the moon for that. But I've been watching so much stuff on the Criterion Channel lately. And they have a little spotlight at the moment on the kind of late career of Alfred Hitchcock. Like, post-Psycho Alfred Hitchcock. Which is underrated. Granted, a lot of those movies aren't the best. The Family Plot and Topaz... The Family Plot is pretty good. But, like, Topaz and Torn Curtain can... we don't need those movies. It's okay. I love you, Alfred, for making those. Sweet, sweet boy. We don't need those. However, among the spotlight is one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. It's one of the messier ones, but it's so fun. And it's Marnie with Tippi Hedren's forehead, and Sean Connery, and Bruce Dern. It is so incredible, but is such a 1960s movie in a way that, like, you would never make it again, because Tippi Hedren plays, like, a compulsive thief. She's not, like, a con artist, and she's not, like, a con artist and thief because she's, like, got some plan and some scheme. It's just, like, this woman has, like, severe trauma,
like, compulsive,
and PTSD, and she's, like, is compelled to constantly be lying, and to, like, if she sees the color red, like, the camera zooms in into the Hitchcock dolly and red flashes on her face, and she has to go steal from a safe. And Sean Connery's the man that's going to sexually tame her. And it is so fucked up and so weird, and it all, like, culminates in, like, Sean Connery forcibly bringing her back to her, like, mom's dingy apartment in New Jersey, and, like, forcing her to, like, regress back to childhood age and, like, get to, like, the root of her sexual violence past and stuff. And it's, like, insanely fucked up and weird.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. If you want a movie about, like, psychotic women, this is one of the most fun ones.
I don't think I've seen it. I'm not a Hitchcock completionist. I've seen, like, the big ones that are considered must-sees, but never... I mean, the smallest one that I've probably seen is, like, Rope.
So, for me, as someone who grew up on Alfred Hitchcock, and my mom and I, every year around Christmas and New Year's, watch Hitchcock movies together. And the great thing about that is there's so many, so there's always new ones to discover. I've seen a vast majority of them now, and there's, like... 4 tiers of Hitchcock movies. There's, like, the big bangers that everyone knows, like North by Northwest and The Birds and Psycho. Vertigo. And then there's, like, the second tier of, like, you've gotten just a little more down the rabbit hole, but they're still big movies like Strangers on a Train, Notorious, Rebecca, Rope. And then there's a third tier of ones that are less famous, maybe a little bit older, but fucking bangers. I would put Marnie in that category, along with 39 Steps, The Lady Vanishes, Secret Agent, Saboteur is fucking great. Spellbound with Ingrid Bergman is one of my favorites. There's, like, very, very, very few Hitchcock movies that aren't crazy fun and super satisfying. The Trouble with Harry, I, in the same way that murder mystery movies and giallo movies and those Hitchcock movies all kind of wrap together to me. They're just like candy. I can just put one on and be happy and satisfied, and, like, they hold your hand and take you through a weird, fun little world, and you're just gonna, like, I don't know. I love a Hitchcock movie so much. That, for me, is the pinnacle of filmmaking. He just... Yeah. It's fun, it's sexy, it's suspenseful, it's a little bit scary, and it's super funny, because he has a super dark sense of humor. And they're great. There really isn't a bad one.
That sounds good. Well, let's get to it, shall we? Today, we are talking about a very special movie. We're talking about it because we love this movie, both of us, but also because Drusilla has just completed the artwork for the Criterion release of this, which was just announced this week. So this is a major one. This is, from 1968, directed by Peter Bogdanovich, Targets.
We thank you for the food we're about to receive. In the Lord's name, amen.
Amen. A typical American family at dinner. Mom and Dad, their beautiful daughter-in-law, and their only son, Joe, a homicidal maniac.
Harry! What are you doing?
How's your dad?
It's okay.
Here you go. Thanks a lot. What you hung this time? I'm gonna shoot some pigs.
Targets, a movie about a war inside a man's head.
I love this movie.
Me too.
And I'm
love it.
It's so interesting. I had not thought about Targets in probably 5 years, if not more. Right? And then when we started the podcast last year, and one of the earliest episodes, you mentioned at the top of an episode that you had just watched Targets on maybe Amazon or something like that, and that you had loved it and you were raving about it and you were so excited to get into it. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, shit. Like, that was such an exciting movie the first time I saw it, because I had no clue what it was. It was a part of a 24-hour film festival. And because the beginning of the movie is the end of the Roger Corman movie, The Terror, which I hadn't seen, I was like, what? I thought the projection had fucked up. I didn't know what was going on. I was super excited. And so it's been on my brain a little bit more since you mentioned it during the podcast. And it's been something that I was like, oh, we should earmark that for an episode. That movie's great. Mm-hmm. Peter Bogdanovich sadly just passed away at the beginning of last year. And he's someone that I went down a whole rabbit hole again after his passing to rewatch a lot of my favorite movies of his. I was fortunate enough to meet him a few times before he passed away. He was a sweet and super lovely, very, very, very funny man with the best stories in the world. And then recently, I was asked by my friends at the Criterion Collection to provide artwork for a new release of Targets. I just got an email that just said Targets. And I was like, oh? I never in my wildest dreams thought they would release this movie. I'm so happy.
Yeah. I saw this for the first time last year. I have a little bit of a funny story about it because at the time I was working with Danny DeVito and he loves fucked up movies. I think I told this story on whatever episode that was, but who cares? It was a long time ago. So I was working with Danny DeVito and he loves fucked up movies. So I texted him, have you seen Targets? And then instead of texting back, he calls me and he's like, we're going to do a remake. I'm going to play the Boris Karloff role. You're going to write it and direct it and play the Peter Bogdanovich role. We're doing this. Let me just watch it tonight and make sure. And I was like, okay. Knowing full well that, like, you can't make a remake of this.
No.
And then Danny doesn't work in the Boris Karloff role for a lot of reasons. And I certainly am not the Peter Bogdanovich of these times.
You can pull off young Peter Bogdanovich, I will say.
And then he watches it and calls me the next day and he's like, we can't make a remake of that. And I was like, I know, Danny. I know. And his executive, which is also his son, Jake, who runs his production company, I texted him, was like, hey, Danny wants to make a remake of Targets. And Jake was just like, LOL. and then was like, don't worry, he does this a lot. And like, so he knew also like that this is just not happening. So, but I did love the movie and I've thought about it a lot. And so I was really excited to rewatch it and talk to you about it.
Honestly, the moment that the email came through, I immediately thought of you, and I was like, Josh is going to be so excited and a little jealous.
Yeah, I was really excited.
I'm thrilled to do this. This is, it's such a weird movie in Boris Karloff's canon. It's an even weirder movie in Peter Bogdanovich's canon.
Yeah. So the production of this movie is really interesting, and that's one of the things that makes it so cool. It is Boris Karloff's last movie, really. I mean, he did some like cheapo things here and there, but this is his last like actual movie performance. And he's playing a version of himself.
Byron Orlock.
Byron Orlock, named after Orlock from Nosferatu. It is also Peter Bogdanovich's first film. And it's a Roger Corman movie. And the way that it came to be in Roger Corman, in true like Roger Corman fashion, what happened was Boris Karloff owed Roger Corman 2 days of work for another movie that I don't know what happened, but he owed him 2 days. And Roger Corman told Peter Bogdanovich, like, you can do whatever you want as long as you use Boris Karloff for 2 days and don't go over budget.
And you use 20 minutes of footage from The Terror, because The Terror was such an expensive production starring Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson. Yeah. But it was so bad, it didn't make any money, that he was like, let's try and recoup some of the money from this. So you've got Boris, you've got clips from another Boris movie. You could make a movie. Then you shoot 40 minutes of some other actors. Boom, you got another movie. Yeah.
And, you know, like, sometimes the best shit is made from, like, setting boundaries or, like, limitations. You know, limitation is the, what is that saying?
Necessity of creativity?
Yes, thank you. So he has these disparate things that are must-uses for him. So he makes this movie Targets, which loosely is this. It is two parallel storylines. One is Boris Karloff playing a version of himself who is a elderly horror icon who has decided that he is retiring and doesn't want to make movies anymore. And that night is going to make a personal appearance at a drive-in movie theater that's playing his movie, The Terror. The other storyline follows a young, squeaky clean Vietnam vet who loses his damn mind and goes on a shooting spree of Los Angeles, which culminates at that very same drive-in. So the two storylines come together for the third act, which is a mass shooting at a drive-in. Boris Karloff was very ill during the making of this. He had to sit down between takes because he couldn't stand for long periods of time. So it's one of those movies, like a lot of Roger Corman movies, frankly, where the production of it and the history of it is part of what makes it so interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the way that Bogdanovich I did a lot of research into this movie while working on the project for Criterion, which I always do, which is not asked of me. It's just I feel the need to really kind of get into the like bones of the thing to be true to this. And again, like I love Peter's work so much, and I love Peter and Boris so much that I wanted to do right by them. So I spent a lot of time, like I've got a lot of books on Boris Karloff. I read a bunch of those while working on this. I listened to a bunch of podcasts and interviews with Peter from the past few years to talking about this production, along with Karina Longworth's Ryan Johnson's wife. Her podcast, You Must Remember This, did a whole series on Peter Bogdanovich's ex-wife, Polly Platt, who was a writer, producer, and set designer, art director on this movie, who had a big influence on Bogdanovich's first movies, Paper Moon and What's Up, Doc, and Last Picture Show. And it's really, really incredible how this movie came about, because Bogdanovich was like, oh yeah, I want to make a movie. Like, you're going to give me Boris Karloff, and I can make whatever I want. Awesome. And so he watched The Terror because it had to be included in some way. And as soon as they finished it, he was like, that's awful.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then he went home to Polly Platt when they were married at the time, and were like, how am I going to do this? Like, that's really bad. I don't want to just like continue that. Like, that what the hell am I going to do? And so he had a few different ideas of what he could do with Boris, but none of them worked with The Terror. And then he was like, well, what if we did the exact same experience I just had? What if we start with the end of The Terror, and then the lights come up and Boris just says, that was shit, and then turns to Roger Corman, and Roger says, I know, but what are we going to do about it? And then the rest of the movie can be about Boris as an aging actor who doesn't want to do these kinds of movies anymore. And so he liked that idea. But the other thing that inspired this, and it was Polly Platt's idea to kind of merge these two stories, was the University of Texas shooting in 1966.
Yep.
So Targets was released in 68, but it was shot in 67. And it was sold to Paramount in 67, I believe at the beginning of 68. And the University of Texas shooting had taken place only a year prior, by a 25-year-old Marine veteran. And it was horrendous. And it was one of the very first mass shootings on record. And it shook not only the United States, but the world to its core. Even the Buñuel movie, which hangs behind me in my office right now, The Phantom of Liberty, has a sequence near the end of the movie that is also inspired by this exact same shooting. And that was like almost 10 years after the fact. And so there hadn't been movies made about the idea of a mass shooting. The world was just understanding the idea of a mass shooting.
It's worth pointing out, too, that after production, but before the movie was released, we also had the assassination of Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy. Mm-hmm. So between the University of Texas shooting and those two assassinations, and this movie just happened to be very timely.
Mm-hmm.
But go on about mass shootings. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, it's not a topic I love to talk about, but
no. This movie is very anti-gun, and maybe one of the best anti-gun movies.
It is. And so it's really weird to think from a contemporary lens, especially, so I saw this movie for the first time almost 10 years ago, but even from a 2023 lens, it's even harder to imagine and I hate saying this, it's really hard to imagine a world in which this isn't a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
Fucking horrifying.
Totally.
And so what this movie gets at, which I love so much, is grappling with this idea that there is nothing scarier than this random, instantaneous violence that has so much power and ability to cause so much permanent damage forever. And the access that has to happen is horrifying. And what Targets gets at is the dissatisfaction that Boris Karloff is feeling with the stuffy gothic horror films that he'd been known for and had been making for the past 50 years. And this new wave of genuine horror in the world around them, but specifically in America. There are scenes in the movie where they are discussing real life shootings on smaller scales that have happened around them. And Boris has beautiful speeches about, like, no one needs my movies. Like,
how can my, stuffy old horror films compete with the real world horrors that are happening these days?
And that is such a profound and upsetting idea to get at. And there's a lot of ways that you could extrapolate that and work with that and bring that to a culmination. And this movie, for being the first movie to talk about this subject, brings it to such an incredible close and ties it off in such a beautiful way by having the police have nothing to do with the capture of the killer. He's taken away in handcuffs at the end because he's a white man and he doesn't get killed. But he is stopped by and one of the great things about this movie is the editing. This movie is so impeccably
well edited.
Cut. It was shot by Laszlo Kovacs, and the cinematography is incredible. But it was edited by Peter Bogdanovich. Oh my god, holy shit.
He did a great fucking job.
He did a great fucking job. And in the final sequence at the drive-in, between Kovacs' cinematography and Bogdanovich's direction and editing, the way that they cut between all of the people in their cars, watching this take place, watching and reacting to their loved ones, and the strangers around them being attacked and set upon, both grieving and mourning, and other ones planning with each other and working together to turn out their car lights so he can't see them. And then working to corner him. And when Boris finally corners him at the end of the movie, and he's broken, and he's sniveling, just sitting there, and he just says, "That's what I was afraid of." Yeah. It's so fucking incredible, because it's just a white man.
Yeah. He's like, is that what I was so afraid of? It's a beautiful moment. And it's worth mentioning, too, that, I mean, we're talking about the ending first, I guess, which, but it's worth mentioning, too, that Boris Karloff, rather than the police or anybody else, everyone else is running for their lives and stuff. Boris Karloff marches right up to him with his little cane and just slaps the shit out of him. Yeah. It's so delightful.
And the cutting between Tim O'Kelly as the killer, between the screen, which is showing the terror, and Boris Karloff walking towards him, he's like confused between what's happening as the like horror of the movie and the horror that he's caused culminates on top. It's fucking incredible. And it's the fact that this is Bogdanovich's first movie it's
very assured.
We should also note that, I mean, his whole career before this had been interviewing big famous directors, and so he was friends with like John Ford and like Alfred Hitchcock, and Samuel Fuller did do punch-ups on the script. Which is handy.
Yeah.
To have the guy who made, The Naked Kiss like
Yeah.
punching up your movie is pretty handy. But like, again, the script is good, but it's not the best part of the movie. The best part of the movie is Boris's performance and giving an incredible actor like Boris Karloff the ability to step out of the makeup and give that performance. And the editing.
It's a great last movie for Boris Karloff because it's a very modern movie. It still feels very modern, but it also loves the history of cinema.
Yeah.
And it does a great job of reminding you that Boris Karloff is really fucking good actor. And there's an amazing scene where Boris Karloff tells the room a ghost story.
Yes.
And it's all done in one shot that gently and slowly comes in on a close-up of his face, but he, for 3 minutes, just tells a ghost story, and it's really scary, and he's really fucking good, and you're like, holy shit, he was such a good actor. It's like theater. Incredible scene. Absolutely incredible.
Will you also get it's such a small, slight, sunny little moments of the movie. So much of the movie is Peter Bogdanovich and Boris Karloff just sitting in a hotel room together.
Yeah.
And part of that is Boris just watching one of his earliest movies just on TV. Howard Hawks' The Criminal Code, which is not one of his monster movies. It was very intentionally chosen by Bogdanovich to be the movie that he's like watching and smiling. And you get like these beautiful cuts back and forth between like young Boris Karloff in 1930 playing a heavy in like a prison movie, back to Boris Karloff circa 1967 sitting there with his cane and a little cocktail, like smiling his fucking face off at this. It's such a Bogdanovich choice to not use Frankenstein and not use The Old Dark House or something like that, but to use a non-horror movie, but B, a Howard Hawks movie.
Yeah.
Is such a big choice, and it's so precious and it's so delightful. And steeping the movie in that stuff, I mean, opening with the terror, ending with the terror, and using that in between, and just the whole movie is just him bowing down at Boris's feet. It's so beautiful.
It's so lovely. And Boris's character isn't all darkness either. He has a really sweet relationship with his assistant Jenny.
I love Jenny so much. She's the MVP of this movie.
She's so good. The actress is named Nancy Sheh, and she was a Chinese American actress. The character is obviously Chinese as well. There's some dated aspects where he calls her Oriental and stuff like that, but you can tell that he really cares about her a lot, and vice versa. And Jenny is also Peter Bogdanovich's character's girlfriend. So it's almost like, in a weird way, this older man and younger man are sort of competing for this woman in a friendly way. It's not a real competition, but just the way that Boris treats her is so lovely. I mean, he's at once a cranky old man, but also you can see through that so easily to see his genuine affection and care for her. And she's really good.
She's incredible. And it also, again, like, it's something that you don't really think about until you're kind of set with it and you're watching a movie like this, that you're like, oh, yeah, there's not that many Asian female leads and co-leads in 1960s movies. That's a shame.
I can't remember. I was looking at the Wikipedia. She was actually the first Asian lead of an interracial couple ever.
Oh my God.
Like on screen. She's incredible. There is a wonderful world weariness about this movie. There's a great moment when Boris Karloff and Jenny are driving to the drive-in movie theater, and they're just passing by all of the car dealerships and stuff, and he's looking out the window and he goes, what an ugly town this has become. And it sort of just breaks my heart, that moment. Like, he's just so tired. He's like he's going to go back to England. He's not going to do movies anymore. He's over Los Angeles. And I don't know, it's just so sad to me.
And it's also like, again, he's basically Boris Karloff, right? So he basically has had the same career as Boris Karloff. One of the biggest stars in the world for like decades, especially in a specific genre. And he didn't belittle the horror genre. He loved the horror genre. He didn't feel trapped in by that. Bogdanovich clearly like has opinions on horror.
Yeah.
But Boris loved it and like was like proud to be a big staple of it. but he's not going to a big premiere of his new movie at Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Right.
He's going to a re-release of Roger Corman's The Terror at a drive-in in Reseda.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning, too, that The Terror features Jack Nicholson and cult icon Dick Miller.
Yes,
so
it does.
You see, like, footage of them when they're young in this hacky B movie. Yeah, so we've talked about the fun, and I don't know if we've done this on purpose. We've talked about the happier, more fun half of the movie.
My favorite part of the movie to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know, like Ebert said that in his original review, that he felt the movie would be better without the Boris Karloff story, which I disagree with. But the other half of the story, and by the way, they kick off this other half really in a cool way.
Genius way.
Yeah, so they've left the screening of this movie. Peter Bogdanovich is trying to get Boris Karloff back. They're by Boris's car on the street. And suddenly, Boris Karloff is in the crosshairs of a gun. And it's really upsetting. And you cut to the other side of the street where our other character, Bobby Thompson, is buying a gun. And he's just trying out the sights. And so that's how you switch to the other character for the first time. So the other story, as I mentioned in the synopsis, is a character of Bobby Thompson, played by Tim O'Kelly, who didn't really do much other than this movie. But he's good in this. He's squeaky clean. This is 1968, but he's very 50s coded. He wears khakis. He doesn't have long hair. He calls his father Sir. He's just squeaky clean. And when he lives with his parents and his wife, their house in Reseda is very 50s coded, very Donna Reed. Everything is on the up and up and above board, except that he is obsessed with guns, and no one really talks about it that much. He even goes shooting with his father, and he's struggling with it a little bit. He tells his wife when she's going to work, "I want to talk to you later. I've been feeling some kind of way." But they never have that discussion because he decides that he's going to go on a shooting spree around Los Angeles, and it's incredibly upsetting. He first murders his wife and his mother. His father's not there, and also a delivery boy who's delivering the groceries. It's silent. He's just finished typing a letter, which they show after the shootings, which basically says, I killed my wife and my mother. I know that they're going to get me before this is done, but more people will die before that. It's awful. It's done in silence with no music.
The scene of him killing his wife, which is the first murder in the movie, is one of the most upsetting scenes I have ever seen. And again, it's all down to the way that it is shot by Laszlo Kovacs and the way that it is cut by Bogdanovich. It is like the morning, she's in her robe, and she's like sleepy still, and she's coming in to kiss him.
Yeah.
And he's been at his typewriter writing this note. He turns around. They kiss. While they're kissing, he shoots her
in the belly.
And then she falls back with this. And you just sit there and watch her die. And with this look of betrayal and grief and shock on her face.
Shock. There's no reason he does any of this. It never gives you a reason. He doesn't have any emotion about it. He's just a true sociopath, I guess.
One of the other really, really upsetting things is earlier in the movie, as he's driving home in his 60s red Mustang convertible, which was Bogdanovich's car, a fun anecdote about that is that when he had first moved out to LA, he had interviewed Jerry Lewis, who was around the same age as him. And Jerry Lewis was like crazy successful at the time. And he and Paulie Platt were living in a small house with a really, 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 really crappy car. And Jerry Lewis was like, "Why do you keep driving that awful car around? Here, take one of my cars. Take a Mustang." And they drove Jerry Lewis's Mustang for about a year until he felt bad about it. And then he bought his own car, but he bought the exact same Mustang. And that's the car in Target.
That's so funny.
But he spots a big, like, silo factory
Kind of like water tower thing. And not that, not a water tower, but like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
As he's driving home earlier in the movie. And then he goes back later with his arsenal and also a sack lunch and a Coca-Cola.
Yeah, he sits down, eats a PB&J and has like a Pepsi and then does a mass shooting on the highway.
It is so...
For me, one was so upsetting.
Deliberate and planned out. So much of that is the highway that we drive down all the time because it's right by where Universal Studios is now.
Yeah.
If this movie was made today, a lot of the shots in that sequence would have a giant minion.
Yeah, it's true.
But
and you never get close on the cars. It's all done in wide. So he's just randomly shooting at cars.
And it's all shot through his scope. Yeah. So it puts you in the mass shooter's perspective.
Real
culpable.
Dread.
It's really... And again, there's... Awful. A lot of it is just like people in cars and cars careening off the road. But there's a woman who gets out of her car and runs away. And it's one of the most upsetting scenes in the movie. It's really, really hard to watch. Again, it's really, really from a distance, but it's slow and it is, you see so much. So something that I noticed working on this movie as compared to rewatching this movie, just rewatching this movie, I should say. By the end of working on a film, I've gone through like every single possible frame of the movie and I've been living in it for, however long. And, steeping myself in research around the people who've made it and stuff like that. But then I also noticed imperceptibly tiny things in the movies that I never would have picked up on. And solely by just being inside of it for so long. And one of those things that's so incredible, and it's absolutely a testament to Polly Platt's brilliance, is that in the clips of the terror that we get at the beginning of the movie, there are these like hazy images of a woman in a blue gown that Boris is haunted by in that movie, right? When Tim O'Kelly kills his wife, she's wearing an almost identical blue bathrobe.
Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that.
I did not notice that until I was putting pieces together for the movie, and I was building some collages, and I was like, oh my god! Yeah. It is outrageously deliberate, but incredibly, incredibly subtle. And I just really, really need to go to the soapbox saying that Polly Platt was one of the greatest filmmakers of all time.
Absolutely amazing.
She never...
Go listen to You Must Remember This. There's a whole series about Polly Platt. She's like a MVP Hollywood player.
She never got the ability to direct her own film, which is a crime. It's a real shame. But, I mean, she was the costume designer for Targets and Paper Moon and Last Picture Show, along with Robert Altman's Thieves Like Us. But she was primarily known as being a production designer on all of those movies, but then also Terms of Endearment, The Witches of Eastwick, The Bad News Bears, The Man Who Fell to Earth, A Star Is Born. But then she went on after her relationship with Bogdanovich ended because he was cheating on her with Sybil Shepherd while making The Last Picture Show. Oh, Peter. She went on to form a company with James L. Brooks after they made Terms of Endearment together, and she became the producer of Broadcast News, Danny DeVito's War of the Roses, and the incredible debut of Wes Anderson, Bottle Rocket.
Yeah.
She passed away.
She's amazing.
Way too early in 2011 and was one of the foremost icons of mid-century cinema. And we owe so much to her. Every single one of the Peter Bogdanovich movies that we look back on as being the classics and like the things that he's known for are all the ones that Polly Platt made with him.
Yeah. And I know in this movie, it was her idea to set the last scene at a drive-in, which is brilliant.
And I love Bogdanovich's movies. After their divorce. I love They All Laughed and things like that, but none of them have the sparkle and the power and thought put into them that the ones that he made with Polly do.
Yeah.
She's an absolute genius. It is so weird to think that the team behind Paper Moon and What's Up Doc made one of the most somber, serious mass shooting films, the first mass shooting film ever, but also one of the best horror films of the 60s.
It's such a good movie. The guns really bothered me. I mean, when in the beginning, he buys his first gun at this little shop, like we mentioned, and then he goes to his car to put it in his trunk. He opens his trunk, and his trunk is full of guns. Yeah. We go to his perfect Donna Reed house, and there are guns all over the walls. I counted the guns, actually, when he's on top of that water tower, and there were 12 of them. He has so many guns that the cops show up to the water tower. He can't collect them all in time. And then he's running from the cops and he keeps dropping guns everywhere. He's like hiding in a ditch, and then he leaves and we see that he's like left one behind by accident. He's like, just like, it's like he's trying to carry, 100 marbles or something. Like they keep dropping. So yeah, eventually he goes to a drive-in movie theater. He initially goes there to escape the police, and he gets away with it. But that happens to be the drive-in where they are doing this screening of The Terror, and Boris Karloff's character is making a personal appearance. So you can imagine what happens. He kills the projectionist and then starts shooting as a sniper people in their cars watching this movie.
From the screen.
Yeah,
he sets himself up behind the screen, finds a little hole.
Yeah.
And it is horrifying. So upsetting.
Yeah. And there's a cool camera choice where they make you the bullet, essentially. You the viewer.
They rack zoom in when people get shot.
They rack zoom, so like you are the bullet entering a person, and it's
horrifying. Again, as someone who grew up in the Midwest around a family that was very much involved in hunting, especially on my mother's side, and who grew up in a house with a good deal of violence, and a good deal of gun presence and gun violence at the hand of at least one family member, very strongly in my adolescence and childhood. That stuff sets me off like none other.
Yeah, it really bothers me.
And to work on this movie, one of the first ideas that I had and followed through into the release and is in the release and is a part of the cover, I was like, well, paper targets are very cheap. Bullets are upsettingly cheap. We're gonna have to go to a gun range. So I was still, around the time that we did this, I was still recovering from surgery. And so I wasn't allowed to hold a gun because I was still, I think X many weeks post a boob job. You're not the kickback.
Wild. That's one of the things that they tell you, like, don't do jumping jacks, don't shoot a gun. You know what I mean? Like, that's so specific.
They did not tell me that. I had to Google that. I had to go on my phone and...
Well, yeah, it makes sense because you've had a boob job and the way that you have to hold your arms to shoot a gun. It makes sense why you can't do that.
Yeah, very, very, very much a big no-no. So I had to get my friend Ethan Noah Roy, who's an incredibly established photographer, and so the only other person I knew who had any kind of like background with firearms other than myself, we went to a shooting range in Burbank, and we rented, we had our pick of guns, of handguns, and we went, and I was super excited that I was getting myself into a headspace of like, I'm working on this super fun project. I get to finally like bring a friend in to collaborate on this with me. Like Ethan's going to have so much fun working on this together. I want to get closer to him. And it was like, oh, what kind of gun do we want to use? Ooh, that can be kind of fun. Oh my God. And then we get on the range and we have our like protective ear coverings on. And I'm standing as far back as I can be away from the range. The with a myriad of paper targets to give to Ethan so that we can shoot them in a specific way so that we have paper targets to photograph for the artwork. And other people were like down the line at this shooting range across from the Costco in fucking Burbank. Yeah. And even with like ear coverings on and stuff like that, as soon as that first bullet went off, the PTSD is fucking strong. I did not have a good time. I made the mistake of buying 2 boxes of bullets for us because I was like, yeah, we'll just shoot a whole bunch and then we'll just photograph whatever we need. I regretted that instantaneously.
So you didn't find it at all like freeing or cathartic like some people describe it?
I mean, I didn't have the opportunity of shooting. I was just there in the room as other people were shooting.
Of course. Right, of course.
And being around live rounds again did something to me. I did not have
guns.
I fucking despise guns so much. And
despise them.
In the like day leading up to that, I was like, maybe do I find would be bad if I find guns fun, but we'll see how this turns out. And then like 2 minutes in the gun range and I wanted to fucking turn tail and get the fuck out of there. Ethan had a good time shooting, and after the fact, he told me that he was disturbed at how cathartic and enjoyable it was, and he was like, "I never want to do it again because of how much I enjoyed it."
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I have a background similar. I'm a hillbilly. I'm from Kentucky. My grandfather was shot to death. I have a lot of cousins. He was shot to death when my grandmother was pregnant with my mom. So my mom was born without a father because her dad was murdered in a bar, cheating at cards or whatever. You know, like that shit happens in Kentucky. And I've lost so many uncles and cousins and stuff to gun violence because wherever there's poverty in America, there are guns.
Yep.
And luckily for me, because of that, my mother hated guns to the point where she wasn't happy about us even playing with toy guns as kids in the 80s. Like guns were like not in the equation, luckily, because my mom lost her father to gun violence. But I fucking hate guns. I hate the Second Amendment. I'm like, get this shit out of here. Like send the guns to the moon. I don't care. Like we should ban them immediately. That's what that's what Australia did. And now they have no gun violence basically. They gotta go. They gotta get on a soapbox about it, but like the guns have gotta go. That's it.
Yeah.
This movie, the only movie that makes me feel similar, I guess, and I haven't seen this since it came out, so maybe it's not a good movie, but I thought it was good at the time. Elephant by Gus Van Sant about school shootings.
I do like Elephant.
That feeling of dread. Yeah.
Elephant is, I don't know if I would say I like Elephant. I've seen it once. I never want to see it ever again.
Deeply unpleasant and frightening. You know, it's about a school shooting. So, and it also has Timothy Bottoms in it, right? Who's in The Last Picture Show.
Is he? I didn't know that. Oh my god! It also has a very fractured narrative, in a different way. In the way that it follows different students' day and then it jumps back. Elephant is a very upsetting movie. It's a very, very good movie, but it's a very, very, very upsetting movie. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's another movie like Targets. Even remotely.
No, like, I don't think there is.
There are other movies about, actors in the twilight of their careers. There are other movies about mass shootings.
Yeah.
There are other movies about, the way that violence interacts with media. But there is nothing that comments on gun violence and horror the way that The Targets does. Yeah. And it's truly because of the time that it was made, that this was a brand new phenomenon in concept.
It's like lightning in a bottle kind of situation. The timing is accidental and can't be replicated.
Yeah, still having the old guard around to comment on it and the idea of this being Karloff's last movie, Bogdanovich's first, and it now a year to the day almost after Bogdanovich has passed.
Yeah.
That is finally getting a re-release and that it is more prescient than ever is somehow timely and poetic, but also like deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, we love Targets. We recommend it. It's sad to talk about gun violence, so let's shift gears and play Have They Seen It, the game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I've got someone because I just mentioned them. Do you think Gus Van Sant has seen this?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
I feel from my perception of Targets, because again, it was a movie I had never heard about until it was screened in front of my eyes. I heard about it when the title card came up, basically.
Yeah.
That in the 90s, it kind of got a bit of a cult status, especially around when Columbine was popping up.
Right, because this didn't do well theatrically when it was released. And it was mixed reviews from critics, too. Now it has more... now it's been reappraised and people like it more.
It's still not...
my sense of it.
It's still not super big. It's still a very...
I mean, I haven't heard of this and I before, like, last year or the year before, and I know a lot about movies.
Yeah.
So this was just completely not on my radar.
I mean, it's a cult film in the canon in general, but especially in Karloff's and Bogdanovich's, it's always, like, the last thing mentioned.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it's very, very, very good. It's just so unlike anything else that it's hard to bring a conversation around Peter Bogdanovich to Targets, or a conversation around other than your career started here, your career ended here. Like, other than that, it's not one that people like to talk about. But I do know that, like, Quentin Tarantino is a big fan of it.
Yeah, of course he was.
Unsurprisingly. Probably taking the wrong lessons from it.
I saw a quote from him about it, actually, that said that I think he said he thought it was Bogdanovich's best film.
That's wrong, but it's very, very good. My man, Paper Moon exists.
Paper Moon is so perfect.
Paper Moon is a flawless film. I think Van Sant has definitely seen it. I think, especially before he made Elephant, he would have watched this in preparation. Right. So I'm wondering, someone else that we've mentioned in this episode, who was friendly with Bogdanovich at the time, and did a little bit of help. Do you think Samuel Fuller, who did writing touch-ups in this movie, ever even saw the movie?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he's a good enough friend that he would have gone to his friend's first movie. I would hope so. Otherwise, like, what a terrible friend. My friend just posted this Instagram story. It was like a picture of a write-up. And basically the write-up was about how you don't have to read your friend's novels. And I was like,
ew.
If your friend wrote a novel, you should read the novel.
If your friend took the time to write a book?
Yeah.
Guys.
What an asshole. Your acquaintance, maybe not, but your actual friend, read it. Oh my God. So yeah, I think he saw it. I think he saw it.
Support your friend's art. Come on.
Yeah, come on. This person is a real piece of shit. They're a famous actor. We talked about them in our very first episode, The Devils, and he was on our very first round of Have You Seen It? He was the president of the NRA eventually. Do you think Charlton Heston ever saw Targets?
Oh my God. I hate that fucking man.
Sucks.
I think he may have.
Yeah.
And I think it's the kind of thing that he would have enjoyed to a point and then disliked.
Yeah. Why do you think he would be like, oh, awesome gun collection?
Yeah, I think he would have been like, dope, man. He's doing it right. And then at the end, he would have been like, that boy needs
is this movie anti-gun?
Yeah. My stars and garters. I feel like he would have been like, this is so weird.
Funny.
I have an uncle who, when I was growing up, bragged to me that he went to every strip club and the Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls music video in, like, the 80s and 90s, that he had, like, crossed them all off the list. Because it's, like...
What a thing to
there's some in, like, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and LA, and all that stuff. And he was like, yeah, he bragged to me as a teenager that he went to all of the ones from the Girls, Girls, Girls video. I feel like... Charlton Heston watching Targets was like, I've been to all the gun shops in Targets. Oh my God.
I'm sure he did, actually. I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he fucking did. So Polly Platt is the, like, quiet MVP of this movie, who it's talked about as a Bogdanovich film, it's talked about as a Karloff film, it's not nearly talked about enough as a Polly Platt film. This is a movie, like, so engineered by incredible women. she obviously went on to make so many incredible movies, many of which with an actor who was inadvertently in Targets. She made Terms of Endearment, and she helped make The Witches of Eastwick. Do you think, star of those movies and The Terror, Jack Nicholson ever saw Targets?
Yes, I do. And my gut says that I don't think he watched it because he was in it. Like, I don't think he gives a shit about that.
I don't think he knew he was in it.
Yeah, I think that could be very much the case. I say yes because I know that Danny had already seen this. Danny saw it back in the day, and they were in movies together in the 70s and are friends. And so I feel like that's my instinct, is like, if Danny saw this, Jack is a similar person, and probably Jack saw it too. That's my feeling.
I feel like Nicholson would love this movie.
I think so too. He seems like he has a dark sensibility.
And Bogdanovich was in that same kind of camp as them. They both came up in Corman together, and then they both made their breakout movies at BBS together, Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces, and Bogdanovich's Last Picture Show. Though Bogdanovich famously says that he never got along with those guys.
That's funny.
Because people are like, yeah, you came up with like Scorsese and Peter Fonda and Jack Nicholson, and he's like, they didn't hang out with me. I hung out with Cary Grant.
People forget that Jack Nicholson's first movie was Little Shop of Horrors. Not the great musical that we all love, but the shitty Roger Corman movie that the musical is based on.
Playing Wilbur Force, which I remember very vividly because I had a relative that I grew up with on my mom's side of the family, on the hunting side of the family, who had the same name as me. At some like family gathering, he was like, well, we can't be going by the same name. That gets confusing. I'll call you Wilberforce. And I was like, what? He was like, it's Jack Nicholson's name in Little Shop of Horrors. And I was like,
that's so weird.
What? And so that's why I saw that version first as a child.
Yeah.
I love Jack Nicholson. And I love that era of the Roger Corman into New Hollywood movies.
I mean, if there's not a podcast about Roger Corman, there should be. Do you know what I was thinking there should be a podcast about? I don't want to make these podcasts, but there should be a podcast about canon films, just going like title by title. That would be a good one.
I'm sure it exists. I want, because he's still alive, he's in his 90s, I want Roger Corman to have a podcast.
That would be great.
I want someone to like knock on Roger Corman's door, someone like in their 20s or something, and sit down with Roger Corman every week and watch an old Roger Corman movie and be like, do you remember it? And him being like, I don't fucking know. Is that a crab? I love him so much. I was able to meet him a few years ago at the New Beverly for a screening of X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes with Ray Milland, which is an incredible movie. And Joe Dante was both moderating, but also just like was there as Corman's like assistant and helper. He just like helped him in and out of the theater, and they like left together in the same car. And I was just like, I love that they're still friends. And he, again, Corman was just the nicest, sweetest man in the world. And for someone who whose name is so synonymous with like biker movies and cheap monster movies.
Yeah.
He's a incredibly soft-spoken and erudite man. And he just loves like Jean Renoir and Bergman and Fellini, and all he does is watch like old like 60s art house movies.
I mean, that's not surprising. Horror fans and people like metalheads and stuff like that are always the sweetest people. It's just such a weird thing.
Ugh, I love him so much.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode of Bloodhouse. If you liked us, please rate us on Apple and Stitcher and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on social, bloodhousepod on Twitter and Instagram. Drusilla, where are you these days?
My art, including the new art for Targets and any additional pieces for that, will be posted soon at my website, scissorhidedesign.com, and you can pick up Targets from the Criterion Collection this May. I cannot wait for people to get their hands on this release. A lot of love was put into the entire package, not just the cover, along with the special features. There's a lot of really, really, really great stuff on it. I'm also on Instagram at HideSister, and I'm on Letterboxd, Drusilla Adeline. Josh, where in the world is Joshua Conkle?
At Joshua Conkle on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. So, year 2. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are crossing off one of my favorite movies that I haven't seen in a long time, from the spookiest year of our Lord, 1997, and the superior Kurosawa, Kiyoshi Kurosawa. We will be watching Cure.
Can't wait. I've never seen it. Bye-bye!